All right, let's talk about something we all do, probably every single day. You select a file, you hit delete, and poof, it vanishes. Or does it? Have you ever really stopped to think about what the word delete actually means inside your computer? Yeah, I'm talking about when you empty the recycle bin or you hold down Shift and hit delete for permanently delete. You feel pretty certain that file is gone for good, right? Wiped off the face of the digital earth. Well, the truth is a lot more complicated and honestly, kind of unsettling. And look, this isn't just some techie what-if scenario. This is real. Get this. A few years back, some journalist went to what's basically a digital scrapyard in Ghana. They bought a used hard drive for just 40 bucks. And what they found on it? It's just mind-blowing. A treasure trove of supposedly deleted files, including contracts from the US Department of Defense, all just sitting there. That right there is the perfect example of what we're talking about today. I like to call it the deletion illusion. It's this huge gap between what we think is happening when we click delete and what's really going down on the drive. Okay, here's the best way to picture it. Imagine your hard drive is a massive library. Every single file, every photo, every document is a book. Now, when you delete a file, you're not actually setting that book on fire. You're just going to the library's big table of contents and ripping out the page that tells you where that book is. The book itself? Oh, it's still sitting right there on the shelf, completely untouched. So that entry in the table of contents, in the tech world, that has a name. It's called a file pointer. It's really just a tiny note that tells your computer, hey, if you're looking for that secret plan document, the data for it starts right over here. When you hit delete, all you're doing is erasing that tiny little note. And that is the crucial difference. A normal, everyday delete just removes the pointer and tells the computer, hey, the space is now available if you need it. The actual data is still there. Secure erasure, on the other hand, goes way farther. It removes the pointer, and it goes in and scribbles all over the original data, turning it into complete, unrecoverable nonsense. Which gets us to our digital librarian, your computer's operating system. And it's keeping a little secret. It knows that just because a book isn't listed in the main index anymore, doesn't mean the book has vanished from the library. You know what's crazy? It is shockingly easy to find these lost books. There are free tools out there. One is called DMDE that can just scan a drive and boom, bring back thousands of files, no problem. It's not magic. It's just a program that walks through the library aisles and finds all the books that are still on the shelves, even if they've been removed from the catalog. And this is the part you really gotta wrap your head around. Let's say you delete a huge 1 gigabyte video file. Your computer instantly says, awesome, you've got 1 gig of free space. But that space isn't empty. It's just been relabeled. It's like a parking spot that goes from reserved to open. The original ones and zeros of that video are still physically on the drive. So let's follow the journey of a deleted file, right? The second you delete it, boom, it's 100% recoverable. But then, as you keep using your computer, downloading things, saving new documents, your system will eventually start writing new data over the space where that old file was. So the more you use your computer, the lower the chances of getting the whole file back. But, and this is a big but, little pieces, little fragments of that file can stick around for years. And these little fragments, these digital ghosts, they have a way of haunting us in some pretty unexpected and pretty risky situations. I mean, think about it. You're going to sell your old computer, so you do a factory reset. You think it's clean, right? Nope. Most of the time, that just wipes the pointers. All your old data could still be there. Or what about selling your phone? The new owner could run a simple little app, and suddenly they're looking at your deleted photos? And hey, don't even get me started on the cloud. Deleting something from your phone doesn't mean it's gone from your iCloud or Google Photos backup. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but what about my fancy new SSD? And yeah, you're right, solid-state drives are a different beast. They have tech built in that's supposed to clean up this old data more proactively, and it definitely makes recovery harder. But listen to me, harder does not mean impossible. It can still be done. And this is where things get just plain weird. You see, all hard drives, over time, develop these tiny damaged spots called bad sectors. Now, what if part of your deleted file happens to be sitting in one of those bad sectors? Well, your computer might not be able to write anything new there, ever. The data literally gets trapped. It's invisible to you, but a data recovery expert, they might be able to get it out. Okay, so with all these digital ghosts flying around, it's a little scary, right? So how do we actually, for real, get rid of a file? how do we send it to the point of no return? Well, the good news is there are ways. It really comes down to three main strategies. You can use software to scribble over it, you can use encryption to scramble it, or, well, you can just physically smash it. All right, method one is all about software. There are tools called file shredders. Microsoft even has one called SDelete. What they do is instead of just removing the pointer, they go to the actual spot on the drive and just write a bunch of random junk, ones and zeros, all over your old data. And, people used to say you had to do this over and over, but today, most experts agree that one good, solid overwrite is all you need. Method two is, honestly, it's brilliant. If you've got full disk encryption turned on, and you really, really should, all your data is already stored as scrambled nonsense. The only thing that can unscramble it is a tiny little digital key. So to erase the whole drive, you don't have to spend hours overwriting everything. You just have to delete that one tiny key, and poof, the entire drive is instantly and permanently unreadable junk. So if we're talking security levels, it's pretty simple. A standard delete, that's like leaving your front door wide open. A software wipe, that's a serious deadbolt. But if you need to be absolutely, positively 100% sure that data is gone forever, there's only one way: physical destruction. We're talking drills, hammers, the whole shebang. All right, so let's bring this all home. What can you actually do about this? Here's your game plan for taking back control. Let's run through a few common situations. First, selling your phone or PC. Here's what you do. First, make sure it's encrypted. Then, do the factory reset. For good measure, fill up the whole drive with junk files, like a bunch of long videos, and then factory reset it again. Okay, scenario two, you just need to get rid of one super sensitive file. For that, you want to use a specific file shredder app, just for that one file. And finally, that stack of old hard drives in your closet. Honestly, the safest thing to do is physical destruction. You can even find services that'll do it for less than $20. Look, if you take away just one single thing today, make it this. Delete does not mean destroy. It's just hide and seek. And that really makes you wonder, doesn't it? This whole illusion, the fact that our data sticks around long after we tell it to go away, is that just an accident of how technology developed? Or is it a feature, not a bug, in a world where data is everything? So the next time you go to hit that delete button, at least now you'll know what's really happening.